I'm having such a good time today, and I'm so glad to get this out of the way because I love listening to you guys, but in the back of my mind, it's like, you have to go up there and not suck soon. I want to start today by asking everyone in here by a show of hands, how many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? All right. See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and at universities and colleges, I've asked it at high schools, I've asked it at corporate retreats. And no matter where I ask it, there's always this huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I have become convinced that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We have made it into something beyond us. And we have taken this term leader, and we made it into something that one day we hope to be able to deserve. But to call ourselves a leader now means that we have to show a level of cockiness or arrogance that we're not completely comfortable with. And so we just let these moments where we truly are leaders pass us by. And we really should be taking credit for it, pass us by. And I worry sometimes that we have spent so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do, that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things worth celebrating. And we devalue the things that we're most capable of every single day. And over the last decade, I've been so lucky to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I honestly think has made my life better. And all I want to do today in the very short period of time I have with you is share with you the one story that I think is most responsible for that redefinition. And I was lucky enough to go to a little university on the east coast of Canada called Mount Allison University. And the last day that I was ever at Mount A girl walks up to me and she says, "I remember the first time that I ever met you." And she told me a story from 4 years before. And she said, "The night before I started university, I was sitting in a hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared, and I was so convinced I wasn't ready for this that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were so awesome. They were like, 'Look, we know this is intimidating, and we know you're scared. But tell you what, let's just go tomorrow. Let's just try it out tomorrow. And if at any point you don't think you're ready for this, just tell us, and we will take you home. We love you no matter what.'" She says, "So I tried. I went to the first day of registration. I'm standing in line, and it's only a few minutes in, and I look around and go, I cannot do this." And she said, "I decided right at that moment that I had to quit. And as soon as I made the decision, this incredible feeling of peace came over me. And I honestly don't think that you could have convinced me at that moment that I had made the wrong decision. And just as I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that they had to take me home, you came out of the student union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life." As an aside, that hat was awesome. And you had this big sign, and it said, "Support Shinerama Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis," which is a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a big bucket of lollipops. And you were walking along the line, and you were talking to people about Shinerama, and you were handing out lollipops. And all of a sudden, you got to me, and you just stopped, and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me, and you smiled. And you reached in your bucket, and you took out the lollipop, and you held it out to him, and you said, "Dude, you have got to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman who's standing next to you." And she goes, "He turned beet red. I have never seen anyone get so embarrassed so fast. He wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this." And she goes, "I felt so bad for this guy that I took the lollipop from him. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face. And you looked at my mom and my dad, and you said, 'Look at that. Look at that. First day away from home. First day. And already she's taking candy from a stranger.'" And she says, everybody at 20 feet lost it. Everybody started to laugh. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that moment, when everybody was laughing, I just knew that I couldn't leave. I knew I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't talked to you once in the 4 years since that day. But I heard that you were leaving. I needed to come up and tell you that you have been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm going to miss you. Good luck. And she walks off. I'm standing there floored, but she only gets about 6 or 7 feet away, and she stops and she turns around, and she smiles at me. She goes, "You should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later." A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker. I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment. And I've searched my memory banks because that is funny and I should remember that. But I don't. And that was such a transformative realization for me that maybe the biggest impact I had ever had on another human being. A moment that had a girl walk up to a complete stranger 4 years later and say, "You have been an incredibly important person in my life," was something that I didn't even remember. How many of you, by show of hands in this room, if you think about it, have had what I call a lollipop moment? A moment where someone has said something or done something that fundamentally made your life better? Okay, How many of you have taken the time to tell that person they created that moment? Way less. I don't get that. I mean, we celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have fundamentally made our life better walk around without knowing it. And everybody in this room has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. Every single one of you has said something or done something to someone that fundamentally made their life better. And if you don't think you have, think about all the hands that didn't go back up. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told yet. And I know it's scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. And I know it can be frightening to believe that we can matter that much in somebody else's life. Because as long as we make leadership something beyond us, as long as we keep it bigger than us, as long as we keep it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it from ourselves and from everybody else every single day. Marianne Williamson wrote this extraordinary poem, and she opened it up by saying, our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our biggest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. And all I wanted to say today is I think we need to get over that. I think we need to get over how scary it is to know we can matter that much to people. I think we need to get over it so that we can move beyond it. And our brothers and our sisters and our kids can watch us start to value how much we can matter to other people's lives more than we do power and money and titles and prestige. I think we need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pass forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we have made leadership about changing the world. And I don't think that there is a world. I think there's 6 billion understandings of it. And every time you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how many people care about them, one person's understanding of what a positive agent for change they can be in this world, in their communities, and in their own lives, I think you change the entire thing. And I think if we come to understand leadership like that, and I think if we take the time to redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And I think it's a small idea, but I don't think it's a simple one. And I thank you so, so much for letting me share it with you today. Have a great rest of the day.